think there's so many ways that we don't realize that does have a bad effect on our family whenever we're not showing up and setting that appropriate tone. So it was really game changing for me to get my levels back within the right range.
I was like, what? And he's like, well, you could have prostate cancer. You could have a tumor. You could have a testicular tumor. You could, what I'm really concerned about is you have an adrenal tumor on your kidneys, because this is one of the symptoms. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, oh my God.
You have to find this balance.
Having strong legs makes such a difference in your mobility and just your ability to get around, your balance, your everything is affected by being strong. And so if you can have that strength, I mean, it's going to make all of life that much easier.
Matt, Sonny, Larry, it's the three
Larry.
of us. Larry,
How you doing?
I'm doing
How you
good, man.
doing?
I'm good, man. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Excellent.
Awesome,
Appreciate
dude.
you having us on.
Yes,
Well, I
thank you.
mean, like anytime we can get together with 3 dads and 12 kids between the 3 of us, I mean, that's a party, right?
That's the whole football
Has to
team.
be.
Well, why don't we just start there? Matt, like,
Yeah.
all right. So, when I tell people I have 4 boys, like, so I don't know if you get this too. Like, how many kids do you have? And you say that, you say like, I
Say the
have,
number.
you say the number, and then you get like a certain whoa, right? And then you tell them that they're all the same gender, and you're like, holy crap, dude. Like,
Oh yeah. No, typically there's 2 responses. How many kids do you have? I'm like, well, I have 5. And then you get the face, the look, or oh my goodness, don't you have a TV or something? and then I tell them, well, and they're all boys. And then they're like, oh my gosh. And typically the response is, your poor wife.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
Or
well,
your wife's a martyr, something like that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Little-
And then for you, Sonny, you have 2
We did.
boys, 1
Yeah.
girl.
Yep, I got her surrounded. I got the older boy and the younger boy, so got to keep those other boys away.
Oh, that's good. So you have a protector who's ahead and a protector who is a
That's
little
right.
younger. So yeah, anybody
That's
messes
right.
around, and a dad who is involved with Gent Health. So don't mess with.
That's right.
Yeah. I love this. I love this already. Well, I want to start out here. So you've got 2 boys, Sonny, Matt, you have 5, I have 4. I'd just love to just share what are some shenanigans that you're just like, I can't believe that just happened in my house, or I can't believe I just had to say that to another human being who lives here.
Yeah.
Like, any stories that you guys can think of?
Oh my gosh. So we're in the middle of potty training my 3-year-old right now. I mean, that's just the most pressing one on my mind right now is the amount of pee that is just all over the floor and
My God.
around the toilet. It's really, you just didn't think they could pee that much, or they'd be that easy. It's a toilet. It's pretty big, but how could you miss that much? And so, yeah, just right now we're going through the potty train with the 3-year-old, which he's doing well, but yeah, his aim definitely needs some work. So, for sure, I'm not sure if you've experienced that at all. So,
I mean, I joke about this, but I mean, all my kids are potty trained, but somehow, some way, urine ends up on our shower curtain in the kids' bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Like, this is like, if you're looking at a clock, like the toilet is at 12.
Yeah.
The curtain is at 3. Like, what
Yeah.
is happening in here right now?
And you'll get a kick out of this. You probably have the same thing in your house. Is the bathroom doors, because it's all boys, and then obviously my wife being the only female, the door never closes on the bathroom. And so like when they're peeing or they're going to the bathroom, it's always open. At least I don't know, in my house, they never feel like they should close the door.
Do they take a dump with the door open? Are you serious?
Yeah,
Do they-
100%.
No.
And they'll just be looking over at you, smiling. I'm like, shut the door, man. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to smell that. Shut the door, please.
Oh my
And so
God.
I don't know. That's maybe my kids are a little bit different in that sense. They have zero sense or need for privacy. So
Oh my God, dude.
yeah,
This
that's
is
a lot of fun though. It's a blast. I mean, we've been truly blessed, and with the 5 boys, and they're happy and healthy. And I tell my wife all the time, I was like, I just want to make enough money to where I can live the life that you and our boys live, because they're always just, having a great time, pure joy. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is fun for sure. I can only imagine. So, Sonny, I'm just gonna assume, since you have a daughter, that your house might be a little bit better managed than me and Matt's because the shenanigans are off the hook in both of our homes. So I'm thinking maybe that girl that you got, maybe she's
She
adding some etiquette.
absolutely
Some
she
softness.
does. She does. She keeps us all soft. We don't hurt her feelings. We try to be cautious around her, but yeah, these boys, they have I mean, they're a whole different animal. I mean, they have their own little culture that they've built and and live within. But I'll tell you, the other day it was odd. I came out of my bedroom and my son was walking down the hall, and he's 15 and he's 6'2". And
Whoa, dude.
I'm not short. I'm 5'11", but I mean that's not short, but 6'2" is just so weird. Your 15-year-old's looking down at you. I don't know how much I like that, but that's where we are these days. But who knows? He'll probably be 6'3", 6'4" by the time he's done.
A big kid, big kid.
Big kid.
And and so Matt, how old is your oldest boy?
He's about to be 10. He
Okay.
got 10
Okay.
all the way down to 4 months old. So we
Okay.
got a little one. Yeah.
So Sonny, you and I kind of share this thing where suddenly one of your kids got bigger than you. And so for me, it's my 17-year-old. So my 19-year-old is still about 155 pounds. He's about 5'10".
Oh,
So I'm 6'1", but my 17-year-old, he's shorter than me. He's 5'10", but he is an absolute beast. Like
Dang.
he's one of 11 kids and his high school is huge, but his high school has been around since 2013. And he's one of 11 kids who have hit the 1,000-pound club. And get this,
oh,
this one's,
wow.
this one's crazy. So 3 lifts, it's normally squat, bench, and deadlift. His coaches, it's squat, bench, and clean.
Oh
And
my
Whoa.
gosh.
yeah, so he makes it really freaking hard for these
Dang.
kids to hit the 900 club. So there's 900 club and then 1,000-pound club. But yeah, I'm just so my 17-year-old, we just measured his legs, and because we're just like we can't find shorts for you, man. Like we just can't. And so we measured him. They're 28.5 inches wide, like his
Goodness,
thighs. And I'm like, but he's also the center on the offensive line, so
my
he's
boy.
been. But I'm just, but anyway, back Sonny, like he comes up to me all the time and he's like, I'm bigger than you. Like, yeah, for those of you guys who watch on YouTube, you know, he's just like,
What's up?
he's like, I'm bigger than you. I was like, I know this, Mason. I know. He's like, stronger than you. I'm like, I know, Mace.
Yeah.
He's like, I can squat way more than you. I'm like, I know, Mason. You can squat. You can do everything more than me. And I'll tell you, man,
It's
like,
testing you, man.
oh, he doesn't test like, so we wrestled not too terribly long ago. And this dude just threw me around like I weighed
Yeah.
4 pounds. I'm like, okay. I'm like, you officially have completely outmatched me. Like,
Yeah.
but he looks at it. It's kind of funny, but he's like, I think it's crazy that I'm stronger than my dad. I was like, do you? I was like, because you should be. He's like, what do you mean by that? I was like, you should be better, faster, stronger,
Yeah.
smarter than me. If you're behind
Yeah.
me, I'm not doing my job. So you should be there.
100%.
So
Yeah. That's
like,
exactly how I feel. I always say I want my kids to be better than me in every way.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
absolutely.
100%.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a little humbling. I won't lie,
Sure.
but
I mean, yeah, you could have like waited a little bit longer, maybe move out of
I
the
know,
house
right?
first, but
Yeah. It's like
yeah,
go to
man. Good
college
for him.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, my Costco bill is outrageous. I can't imagine what yours is. Just
Feeding
If you,
those boys.
I
it's
mean,
insane.
obviously I won't share it for like the privacy, but like I could easily have a Lamborghini right now with what I spend at between the grocery stores we
Yeah.
go to.
The
It's
food
crazy.
is the food is crazy. But
Well,
There the other day, we were coming home from football practice, stopped and got Jack in the Box for my 15-year-old. He came home, had dinner, steak dinner that my wife had made, and then had a dinner after that. Like, what are we doing here? What?
dude, I remember that. I remember being in high school. Like you couldn't eat enough. Like that's what you're again, we'll probably dive into it, but your testosterone levels are spiking, you're hungry, you're working out, and you eat food. So
I know, man. It's like I think with boys that are kids that age, it's like especially like I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but we buy healthy food or we
yeah,
I would say with kid food, call it 60-40, like 60% healthy, 40% the food that personally I would never touch, but they eat it. Um, so we don't deprive them completely, but yeah, I mean, like, if you're buying healthy food, whew, you're gonna pay at the pump for sure. But um, I I really want to hear you guys' story. So, I'm going to
Yeah.
start with Matt first. You're 36 years old.
Yep.
Um, this was something that you started because it started with you. I
Yeah.
want you to tell me about that.
No, I appreciate that, Larry, giving us the opportunity to share our stories a little bit. But yeah, I'm about to be 36 here in a few months, and really, like I was telling you before we hit record, it all started. It felt like the day I hit 30. You hear that people tell you that. Well, enjoy your 20s while they last, because when you hit 30, you're gonna gain weight. Everything's gonna be harder, and that wasn't necessarily the case for me as far as the weight goes. But as soon as I hit 30, we had just had our third boy, and so at the time we had three under three. And so life was a little stressful, So we had our 3-year-old, and our second and our third are really close. So our third is our surprise baby. I won't call him an accident, but he's our surprise baby. So him and his older brother are only 16 months apart. So, life was stressful, and so but things were going good. I had the
Yeah.
job, I had a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, we had a house, everything was great. And so but I hit 30 and just started to feel off. And it really started for me. One of the first symptoms I felt was the brain fog, just the not being able to think clearly, and it was just something completely new to me. And what's going on? Like, why can't I even like think of what I did a few days ago, or whatever? What my recall was off. And so I was like, okay, well, it's probably just the sleep, lack of sleep. And so, but started feeling some other symptoms as well. So the brain fog for me led into some anxiety that I had never had before. And so, all growing up, very happy-go-lucky kid. Things were never had that side. I know a lot of people experience it all growing up. Know some people in my family that did, but it wasn't for me. It was definitely something that was onset. And so the anxiety came, and then from there, started feeling honestly depression. Started feeling just feelings of sadness, of hopelessness, which for me, again, was not normal. And looking at my life outside looking in, everything was great. And so for me, I almost felt this feeling of like, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? And so went the traditional medical route. Remember my wife telling me she started noticing, obviously, I wasn't the same person. Motivation was lacking. Libido obviously was starting to decline just with everything else I was going through. So she's like, you need to get some help, Matt. Like something's off. You need to get some help. So went to my general practitioner. He did a blood panel on me. Sat down with him for probably 5 minutes, and he's like, Matt, everything looks good. Everything's in normal range. Your cholesterol's a little high, but you do eat a lot of eggs. I'm like, yeah, eat a lot of eggs, And so I was like, okay, that's pretty much what he told me. And I told him, well, doc, I'm experiencing this brain fog, this anxiety, even depression. At the time, I didn't even like saying it just because I didn't want it to be true. They're like, well, Matt, all of your testosterone's within range. Everything I see here is fine. It sounds like you're just having, some mental issues, and you need to go see a psychologist. That's what he told me. And I was like, really? I was like, that's all you could tell me? And he's like, yeah. He's like, and so I did. I just listened to my doctor, because at the time I didn't know anything about reading my own blood panel or doing any of my own research into things. So I went to go see a psychologist here in the area and told her what I was going through. And she's like, yeah, man, she was super nice, super great. Enjoyed our visit. I feel like she had the best intentions. But at the end, she's like, Matt, you're clinically depressed, and I'm going to prescribe you with an SSRI.
Ooh.
And so I was like, really? And it just immediately I was like, this cannot be the case. This cannot be true. But she did, she's the doctor, she's the MD, not me. So I went and filled the prescription. And I remember this, like it was yesterday. I was standing in my bathroom, just one of my lowest spots ever, just got diagnosed with clinical depression, going to be on antidepressants for the rest of my life, or feeling like I was, like feeling like that life that I had just like 6, 7, 8 months ago was completely gone forever, and so I remember just praying. I'm a man of faith, and just thinking, God, this can't be the case, but if it is, just give me some kind of sign, just give me some guidance here. And I just felt this overwhelming desire to throw those pills in the trash. And so I did. I threw the antidepressants in the trash. Like, this isn't it. This isn't my path. And so decided, again, not saying that isn't for some people. It's not valid for some people, but I just knew for me, it wasn't what was wrong with me. I just had an intuition. And so from there, threw those pills in the trash, started doing a lot of my own research, stumbled across a really good hormone doctor here locally in Houston, Texas, where we reside, and did another blood panel with him. And this is where I found out that there's a difference between a normal range and an optimal range in hormones. And so there's a big difference between a normal range and the optimal range. Just for example, for your listeners who may not know, testosterone, the normal range is at 300 to 1200 for total testosterone. That's a huge range. Most people at 1000 or 1200 are feeling like a superhuman. And if you're at 300, you're feeling not so good. But it's also everybody's very specific to them. And so me and you could feel very different at 500. And what he explained to me, though, it's a lot of it's symptoms. It's like, well, do you have the symptoms of low testosterone and hormone imbalance? And obviously I did. All the symptoms were there. And so got on a protocol with them, and almost within a few weeks and a month started feeling better. The brain fog was the first thing to clear up. And from there, I feel like a lot of my anxiety was coming from the brain fog, from the fact that I couldn't recall, that I couldn't, think straight. And so, and I also feel like the depression was kind of also coming from the anxiety that I was feeling all the time. And so those started to clear slowly. And that got me down the path of, where I'm at today. Just because I started talking to a lot of my friends, Sonny being one of them, like, hey, this is what I was experiencing. This is my, and I'm not sure if this is unique to me. And pretty much every single guy within our peer group, kids, mid 30s to 40s, had expressed that they felt very similar, and had a lot of the same symptoms, and, just lived with it, just suffered in silence. And so that was what first got me thinking of, like, well, there needs to be some more education on this, to men our age, to know, okay, just because you hit 30 and you start feeling, like crap, you can fix that. You don't have to feel that way all the time. There's better ways to live. And so, yeah, so that was what got me into this. And then last year we officially launched Gent Health, which is we're a telehealth company who is based out of here in Texas. And so what we do is we just focus on men's health. And so in complete men's health optimization. And so we start with a blood panel, obviously. And then from there, you meet not for 5 minutes, but for a full one-on-one, typically at least a minimum of 45 minutes, go through your whole blood panel to see what's going on. Because we were talking earlier, it's not just testosterone. That's the one everybody likes to talk about, because that's the one that, helps with, weight loss and muscle gain and things like that. But, if your estrogen's low, that's not good. That there can be a lot of symptoms there if you have really low estrogen or even high estrogen. But, so you have to find this balance. And so that's what we that's what we do at Gent Health, is we help men find the balance with their hormones. And yeah, and so that's the story how we got started. And I couldn't be more pumped to be able to be a part of this with Sonny and what we're doing at Gent. So
awesome, man. Yeah, what you guys are doing really good work, and I want to explore this just a little bit deeper with you, Matt, and then I want to get to Sonny's story, because I know he has a story as well. But so the brain fog. I mean, I think, just as I think you said it 2 or 3 times, and just as you said that, just something popped up for me as of like, I was like, well, I know what brain fog feels like for me, but I think brain fog, as I just started thinking about it as you were talking, I was like, I bet brain fog probably means different things to different people, as far as like, maybe it's my memory, or I can't think straight, or I'm just, I don't feel energized or something like that. But what did brain fog feel like to you? I know you said memory, you couldn't think straight, but
Mhm.
what were the other symptoms that really defined what brain fog was for you, and maybe even how you explained it to some of your clients?
Yeah, so brain fog again, like you said, for me personally, it was not being able to think straight or starting a task and being like, okay, what am I doing? And just completely forgetting what you're doing. And then also just a lack of motivation. And so an inability to continue with a task. And so, that's a very, very typical sign of low testosterone is the lack of drive and motivation. Testosterone, one of the things that it does is it what I like to say is it makes doing difficult things feel good and makes tasks feel good. And so if you don't have that and your levels are off, um, just it's not that drive is not there. And so for me, the brain fog was a lot of it was, well, maybe you just feel like you're just kind of moseying through the day. It feels heavier than it should. That makes sense. I don't have like a specific definition for you, but I always just felt heavier when I was in that fog.
You hear that term all the time, brain fog, and you just you just don't know, like, because I
Yeah.
think it's different things at different people. But you know what's really funny is I just GPT'd it, and it says it's a non-medical term that describes a feeling of mental confusion or lack of mental
Mm,
clarity. People often say it feels like it's thinking cloudy, sluggishly, or fuzzy. It's not a condition in of itself, but it's a symptom of other issues. Kind of crazy. Here's what ChatGPT says: could be a
yeah.
symptom of low testosterone for a man.
There you go.
Crazy.
There you
Um,
go.
but it also says the common symptoms are trouble concentrating or focusing, forgetfulness, short term memory issues,
Yeah.
difficulty processing information, mental fatigue, and disorganized thoughts. Another and causes of that could also be low T, like we were saying, lack of sleep, stress, anxiety, hormonal changes overall, and then medications or alcohol, and then chronic conditions like long COVID or autoimmune.
Yeah,
But that's I think that shows up for a lot of us. And one
for
more
sure.
question before we move on to Sunny is that brain fog, anxiety, depression, when you are a man who's married and raising kids, that does not go well. And
Really.
I've experienced that, and I mean, I've been married for 22 years and been a dad for almost 20. And I've definitely been through seasons like that. And I'll just say it for what it is. You feel like the most ineffective, just absolute, I'll just say it and curse, piece of shit. Like
Yeah.
you just, you feel like, okay, I'm having trouble with the energy just to show up, which is frustrating me internally as a man because I feel like I'm
Yeah.
not even being the man that I need to be right now. Because we have that frustration internally, well, now our patience is now compromised with our kids, and we come across cold, we come across, distant, or we come across like feisty or impatient. And that does damage to our relationships. And I know, man, when I've been through seasons of anxiety and depression. And I know when I go through that, like my family pays for it. And
Yep.
nothing in the world feels like total crap than number one, not being able to show up, but then the effects of it. So were you experiencing these as well?
100%. It's sometimes it's hard to talk about just because I feel like I missed out on so much of my first three younger years, and so just because I was there, but I wasn't there, I'm sure you felt that before, because you're just in your head or you can't think straight, and so like you say, you're the man of the house, and you feel like you need to be strong, and if you know you show signs of weakness, and then it kind of trickles down. And so you're scared to even talk about it. Like I was scared to even bring it up to my wife, but fortunately she noticed and and brought it up, and we're able to have good conversations, and she was my rock at that time. But yeah, you don't feel like you have time or space for that. But as men, I feel like we need to make sure that we carve out the time to talk about it and feel it and figure out a way out of it. Because if not, it's just gonna hurt you more and more down the road.
Yeah,
So,
it's not going to get better unless we do something. So thank you for
100%.
sharing that story, man. I think
Yeah.
no matter what the causation is of seasons of anxiety and depression, when that hits us, because it hits us, I don't care who you are, like how like superhuman we are, it's going to hit us at some point, depending on what's going on in our life. And it feels really defeating, and once we get to the bottom of something that can help, and then we turn that ship around, we're like, oh, wow, like don't want to go
Yeah.
back there. But Sonny, I want to go to you because you have a story as well. So talk to us about this.
Yeah. So about the time Matt was kind of going through everything, Matt's always kind of been my health guru. He's always championing kind of on the cutting edge of new workouts, new things to try, and he was telling me about this. And at this point, I hadn't been to the doctor in probably 10 years, and I had a buddy who was getting all over me because his wife was a doctor, and she was just saying, Sonny, if you don't go to the doctor and get your levels checked at a minimum, like there's no baseline for you. They don't know who you are. If you ever came in and had trouble with something, or God forbid something serious going on, they would have no history on you. They would have no idea where things got off, what needed to be changed. And so convinced me to go get my levels checked, and I finally did, and went the same doctor that Matt was using, and it was pretty remarkable because when they came back, they told me, they're like, hey, your testosterone is within the normal range, but your estrogen is, we have some of the most intricate testing materials, and we could not detect any estrogen whatsoever in your blood. And they said if you were to continue in this vein for the next 10 years, you would have massive heart problems because your heart needs estrogen to operate. And if you don't have it, you're operating at a constant deficit. And so for the last, who knows how many years I had been operating at a deficit. And, but man, they, the funny thing is they can't give men straight estrogen because we'll develop breasts. And so they went a different route.
Well,
and
they can, but that's a different reason.
Yeah, they told me, they said if you increase your testosterone levels to the higher end of the normal range, any excess testosterone converts into estrogen, and then you'll have estrogen. And that's the route I took. And but man, I did not realize, for me, like having moderately low testosterone, just that makes a huge difference. I mean, I was experiencing very similar things that Matt was experiencing. I'd come home from work sometimes, have a very demanding career, work with very high-powered attorneys all over the country, and these guys, I mean, you need to show up and be 100%. You need to show up and be the very best, because these guys are the very best, and so you need to really show up for them. And I was just getting home in the evening, and I would even have trouble coming in the house because I just had so much anxiety and so much depression, and just felt like the world was not as it should be. And I was really lacking a lot of that motivation to be my best, which was very uncharacteristic of my personality. I've always been very driven, very motivated. And so to have that fall off felt distinctly different, and it was noticeable. And it was right around the age about 38 for me is when things really start to hit. And I was just not feeling myself and not feeling that motivation to get up in the morning and go and take on the world and put my best foot forward. And but more than that, I mean, for my clients, that's one thing, but for my family, it's a whole nother thing. And when I would come home and just want to go in our room and close the door, that's not the answer. I mean, we need to, more than anything, more than clients will come and go, but our families, that is the number one thing that we have to give ourselves to in this life. And I felt like I was just not showing up for my family after a long day of work. And so, but the biggest difference I noticed is when I got my levels checked and got on testosterone and got my levels up to where they needed to be. Like Matt said, having levels around that 900 range is kind of, that for me is the right range. It's different for every person. Every person has a little bit different reaction and response emotionally and psychologically. But for me, that's what really gave me the drive to get home from work and go, Asher, let's go do some squats in the backyard. Let's go work out. Let's go do some stuff together, and just change everything about the family dynamic, and gave me the drive to keep showing up. And which is the number one thing that we need to do as dads, is show up for our families and be there and be that leader and set the tone. And I think as fathers, that's what we do, is set the tone for our families. And I was just not setting a good tone. And this really helped with that. And I just think there's so many ways that we don't realize that does have a bad effect on our family whenever we're not showing up and setting that appropriate tone. So it was really game changing for me to get my levels back within the right range. And it's changed a lot about the way that my practice works in my profession. And it's changed a lot about the way that I show up for my family. And I couldn't be more happy to be a part of the company because this Matt and I are kind of serial investors. We like to invest in different things, different opportunities, and this was the first thing that I said, man, I can get behind this. This is something I believe in wholeheartedly. It has had a life-changing effect on my family. And I want to share this. I want to share this information with the world because men need to know about this. And I think it is something like 40% of men over 40 have horribly low testosterone and don't know it. And there's no way for them to find out about it because doctors, the range is so large. I mean, from 300 to 1200 is the range. So can you imagine? I mean, what a difference there must be between someone who's sitting around 300 and someone sitting around 1200. I mean, those two people are different humans altogether. I mean, they just have a whole different outlook on life. So just being able to share this with the world has really been motivational for me.
I appreciate you sharing that story, man. That is scary. Like, had you not gotten this checked out is terrifying. And, I spent 18 years in healthcare before I started, before I went full time with this podcast and this movement. And, you know, I don't know, man. Like, what really aggravates me is obviously our healthcare system. I mean, like, I feel very blessed though that we have insurance, that, we live in a country that, we do have healthcare. We've got the best healthcare. As far as like, if God forbid something happened to you, it's not like it's national healthcare necessarily. Like, we have choices, which is great. I just don't like the fact that the medical community, with some things, not all, like I think surgical technology, I think is great. I think that we're ahead of our time, but I think diagnostics we're behind. And this one is a perfect example. So a typical guy who doesn't know, like a typical guy who doesn't know healthcare is going to go in and get his blood work done, and he's going to get a metabolic, panel, and he's going to get a CBC with his cholesterol and that kind of thing. It's not going to show the 75 markers that, quite frankly, we all really need to see. And had you not been tested and been traditionally tested, dude, you might be in serious trouble right now. Right.
Mhm.
And the fact that there is no, like, that it's not common practice to be like, hey, like right now, it used to be when you turn 50, you get a colonoscopy. Well, now they're like, we're really detecting it way earlier now. So now it's going to be 45. And instead of like every 10 years, it's going to be every 5 years. So you get it done. And I wonder, how far away are we from, like, okay, you're 30. Okay, full blood panel. Your insurance is going to pay for it. Everything. We're going to look at everything. And then when you're 35, we're going to do it all again. Or at least what I think would be optimal is if insurance would be like every year you get this done just to make sure, because there could be things that are going on. Me, like you guys, I actually had the opposite that happened to me. This is kind of a unique, really weird story, but I think it really shows that some, not all family practitioners or general practitioners know everything about this. I think some know a lot because they do their research and they do their study on it. And then some are very traditional. The doctor I go to, like, he's in his late 60s. He's been practicing forever. I went to go get my blood work done and my testosterone came back, and I'm not on TRT. I've never have been, was 987. And I'm going to be 50 in 6 weeks. And he looked at me and he was like, what's that?
So that's incredible. Good story.
Thanks, man. But, like, he looked at me and he's like, we have a problem with your blood work. And I was like, what's the problem? And he goes, and he literally, like, took off his glasses and he goes, your testosterone is 987. And I go, yeah. I was like, it's always been high. And he goes, that's way too high for how old you are. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? He goes, are you taking TRT? I go, no. He goes, are you taking steroids? I was like, did you see my weight? I'm 175 pounds. I was like, do I look like, I mean, I'm lean and I'm fit, but I don't take roids. And he's like, "Are you taking any testosterone boosters?" I'm like, "No." I was like, I take vitamins. I take my first form stuff. You know, I take
Yeah.
my nutrients, my microfactor, all that good stuff. No, I don't take any of that. He's like, "Well, I'm going to send you for a CT scan." And I'm like, "For what?" And he's like, true story. And I'm like, "For what?" And he goes, "Well, testosterone this high and you being this age, I'm really concerned that you could have something going on." And I could tell he didn't want to tell me. I was like, "What could I have going on?" I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Well, you could have prostate cancer. You could have a tumor. You could have a testicular tumor. You could, what I'm really concerned about is you have an adrenal tumor on your kidneys because this is one of the symptoms." And I'm like, dude, I'm like, "Oh my God." So
That
then
was
I go
freaking
get,
you out.
Yeah.
yeah, then I go get this CT scan. And by the way, I was self-employed at the time. And it's still self-employed, but had shitty insurance at the time. Had to pay an arm and a leg for this stupid CT scan, all to go back and be like, "You're totally clear. I guess you just have really high testosterone." And I'm like, "Thank you. Will you pay
Yeah.
the $2,000 bill that I owe for the
You,
CT scan now?"
you must be eating right, sleeping right, lifting heavy weights,
I do.
getting
Yeah,
outside, doing all the lifestyle things that you
I
should be
am.
doing to keep up. And so that's great. But the doctors are not used to seeing that.
They're
And
not. So
so,
like, here's your story, which I think is pretty common, right? A guy goes in
yeah,
with 3, 4, 500, and the doc's like, "You're totally fine. I don't know what your problem is."
yeah,
Mine is like, it's still within range, right? And he's looking at me like I have a serious problem. And I was like, "Holy crap." And then that cost me $2,000 to go get that CT scan. True story. I was like, "Oh my God,
Well,
I'm gonna have to go on a payment plan to pay this now." But anyway,
yeah,
um, I think that's what we're up against here is like the
yeah,
awareness of it, right? So, um, I think everyone should.
100%.
So, tell me about these 75 markers of blood work. Why should this be? Why should every man be doing this? Because I
Yeah.
truly believe every man needs to do this.
So I'm a big believer in just getting your blood work done as early as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But just going back to what Sonny said, he wasn't necessarily experiencing things that made him go, but he just felt like he should go. And then he found this. And so it's so important to go get your blood work done, analyze it with an actual medical provider, a professional who looks at this every single day, not someone who's, again, nothing against, family practitioners, but they're just treating a wide variety of things. You want to go to someone who's a specialist who reads these panels for one reason every day, and then also can, tell you what's good and what's bad about it. And so then you have a baseline. So for me, that's just so important. Even if there's nothing wrong with you, like it's just good to know. But then you could find other things, like your A1C, like how's your blood glucose? How's that? Is that elevated at a high level? How's your homocysteine levels? Are you at risk for potential heart issues down the line? So just different things that you could find. And for me, I kind of nerd out on it just because I love this stuff. It's kind of like every time I go, it's like a report card. But it's just so good to know. And that way you know how to tweak. And just for me, it's just living my best life, going back to showing up for your family. I got 5 kids. I have to have energy. I have to wake up and be ready to go. And so for me, when I wasn't able to do that, the blood work, I went there to get my blood work done and I was able to see, well, clearly, this is why you're feeling terrible. All of these things are out of whack. And so, but now if you go and get that blood work done, it's a whole scan of your body. Blood work doesn't lie. So
Yeah, it does not lie. So
100%.
you guys, so let's talk about one other thing too that I think might be deceiving for guys. There's a big difference in total testosterone and free testosterone.
Right.
And we actually, you can have high testosterone, but also have low free testosterone, which you're probably going to
Correct.
experience a lot of the same symptoms, correct?
Yeah, correct. So that was actually one of the issues I had early on was my SHGB. I always mix up the letters, was super high. So that's sex, a hormone binding globulin. So
Yeah.
that's this little hormone in your body that floats around. And basically what it does, if it's high, it grabs all your testosterone, all your free testosterone, and just sucks it up. And so you could have totally normal levels, but if this is high, and for different reasons it could be high, you could still be feeling the effects. And so again, going back to how crucial it is to actually see somebody who knows what they're dealing with, just because they don't just look at the total number and be like, oh, you're good. Because you could still be feeling the effects of low testosterone, even though your total number is at a totally normal level. And so for me, my DHEA was also really low. Another hormone that people don't really talk about, but it's you can get that over the counter here. And so that's something that you could easily get and to help you start feeling better once you know if you're low. And so this is a funny story. So actually, I got my blood work done a little bit while back, but I was starting to feel a little off. I was like, I need to get my blood work done again because something's off. I just could tell. And my testosterone was fine. My DHEA levels were super low. And I was like, I forgot to order my DHEA, which I typically take 25 milligrams a night. It's part of my protocol. And I ran out about a month ago and I never reordered. And so, but I was starting to feel it. And then I looked at the blood work and sure enough, my DHEA was like 127, where it's probably should be somewhere around 300 or something like that. So, yeah, so just little things to go back to can definitely help you. So.
See, this is why I think people should absolutely get a detailed blood panel, because in a normal metabolic panel, you're not going to see that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that stuff just isn't measured or quote unquote, like, you know, covered by your insurance. So, you know, people aren't testing for it. So I even think about you. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say just real quick, another one that people don't realize is vitamin D deficiency.
Yeah.
So vitamin D, that's a hormone. And so, another buddy, he's actually, he's in the fitness space, real in shape. And he was like, man, I'm just feeling real down. And I was like, get your blood work done. And so he got the blood work done. His vitamin D was in the tanks, and so he was like, and so we got him on a little protocol, obviously heavy on the vitamin D, and he's feeling great. And so it was one of those things that it's not just the testosterone, it's a lot of other factors. And so when we test for everything, and so we just want to make sure that you're feeling your best.
Yeah, Sonny, I want to get to you too, but when I had my first like huge, like broad panel done about 5 years ago, kind of the same, not exactly like you, Sonny, but my estradiol, not estrogen totally, but estradiol was high and had no idea. I didn't even really have symptoms of it. And it was I think it was in the 30s. Is that normal or is that high? Remind me. Because
That's a little high. I mean, that's
yeah,
on the higher side.
higher
20
side.
to 30 is typically with the normal range. Again, I don't have
Okay.
it in front of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I'm gonna be
going
in the
back a
20
ways.
to
But when we figured that one out, it was like in the 30s, and then it dropped to 17 after, we started treating that, not with TRT or anything like that, but with some supplementation. But yeah, I mean, it's some of these things can be kind of sneaky. But like I think about you, Sonny, and like what could have been, you could have been dealing with something horrific right now,
Yeah.
and so um, when it comes to estrogen, let's talk about that for a second, because and maybe Sonny, you might be the best person to ask about this as well, since you experienced it firsthand. Can someone have high testosterone, like you just get that checked, and not know the fact that they have high estrogen?
Yeah, there's actually certain treatment protocols that we utilize that kind of keep your estrogen levels down, if someone does have high estrogen, because that in males that can really have a bad effect on you as well. If your estrogen levels are too high, anytime your hormone levels are out of whack, it has a deleterious effect on your personality and your mood, kind of the things that carry you throughout the day. And so it is important to have, these things corrected and in the right range. And it's funny because my whole family has a history of heart problems, and dad passed away of a heart attack, grandpa passed away of a heart attack, just kind of a historic trend. And then when I go in and they tell me, because your estrogen is so non-existent, this is currently leading to heart problems. If you don't get this, if you don't correct this, you're going to end up having major heart disease in your 50s. And that was just game changing for me and eye opening to think how many people have family histories of heart problems. And all this could have been corrected. All this could have been mitigated early on if they would have just started doing the protocols and making sure that their levels were in the appropriate ranges when they were younger, so that they didn't damage their heart by the time they were 50 or 60. And so I mean, I don't want to live to 100, but like to make 80 maybe, and be there to see my grandkids and great grand. I mean, that's awesome. But you have to take steps to do that. I mean, if you want somebody else to walk your daughter down the aisle, yeah, don't take care of your health.
Sure.
Eat that extra piece of pizza. Do everything you want to do in life, but but you're rolling the dice, you know. But if you want to be on top of things and be really thorough, I would say I agree with you. I think insurance should be paying for blood panels every year to the fullest extent that they can, because what are the odds they're going to catch something that can be
Right.
corrected early and not be a massive problem down the road? I mean,
Yeah,
these are basic things that we should be doing, but makes a massive difference long term.
it does. It's the difference between sick health and preventative wellness,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Um, you know, what's so funny? Not it's actually not funny, but you know, you think about your family history of heart disease, and we'll never know, but like, could that have been the factor, right? That could have been prevented.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you nailed it there. Um, when it comes to, you know, just I think this topic in particular, you know, as far as like longevity,
Mhm.
wellness. Um, I heard, I think it was Dr. Gabrielle Lyons. Are you guys familiar with her?
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
on the Sean Ryan show, and Sean Ryan asked her, he was like, what is the number one thing that we can do for longevity? And she said, build muscle and get as strong as you possibly can. And then he was like, okay, well, tell me. He's like, well, she's like, well, think about it. Like, this is the one system in our body that we actually have direct control over. And we
Mhm.
can grow muscle, we can build muscle. Like, we can't build a new heart, you know, we can't grow a brand new liver or anything like that, but we have direct control over our muscle system. And to get as strong as we possibly can. And over the past, so I've gone through a health transformation myself over the past 300 days. And that actually has been my focus is I'm going to get as strong as I possibly can, lift as heavy
Yep.
as I can with good form. And I'll tell you, I've always worked out, but lifting the way I have been, and I'm talking like I record all my lifts and how much and the rep range and all that. And every week I'm
Love
trying to
it.
progress. And I haven't done that for decades, and I'll tell you, I have never ever felt better than what I do now. And like just being almost 50, I'm stronger than what I was in my 30s. But I only share that because like I never lifted necessarily because I was like, well, I don't need to be as strong as an ox. I'm just lifting for my health. But actually, I need to be as strong as an ox to be healthy
Absolutely.
long
Yeah, right.
term, right? So like that changed the game for me. But can you guys talk a little bit about the benefits of growing metabolic tissue, aka muscle, and what that is going to do long term for a man if he's able to build muscle?
Yeah, no, for sure. So obviously you just go into the lifestyle factors immediately. You know, you feel better, you know, you're stronger, you have more energy, you can eat more, you know. So when you
Yeah,
have
I do like
when
that.
you have more muscle, when you have more muscle mass on your body, you burn more calories. And
Yeah.
so like for me, I like to eat. It's always been my downfall. But you know, so but if you're not carrying much muscle around, you don't need that much food. But obviously the lifestyle factors goes into it. You feel better, you look better, you can be there for your kids. But obviously, as you mentioned, the health side of things, you know, as you get older, things just start to deteriorate. And so we have to battle back by, you know, like you said, like the Dr. Lyons says, by controlling the one thing that we can't control is putting on muscle. And so I tell my dad that all the time, like, because you know, he's getting into his late 60s and 70s. And so I just pushing him to work out because as you can see it and you see it happening and you see them start to deteriorate. And so you just want to make sure that they're, you know, still lifting and putting on muscle because that's what's going to keep them healthier. And, and I can't remember the term now, but it's like healthy aging, like feeling good as you age and not just, you know, not just at age and just, you know, accept the all the bad things that happen to you, but living well into your later years. And so that muscle is only going to help with that. So
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
after I got on testosterone, and it really, my son's in football, and so I really wouldn't push him to work out when I got home. I'd like, oh, you know, do that on your own. But man, after I got on testosterone, it was like, man, I'm working out with my boys. I mean, that's a really quality time to spend with them. And I noticed after started lifting with my boys, I mean, just the mobility that I had. I mean, the other couple months back, you know, we were sitting on the ground and just stood up, and I stood up on one leg, and it was just like the easiest thing. I was like, wow, having strong legs makes such a difference in your mobility and just your ability to get around, your balance, your everything is affected by being strong. And so if you can have that strength, I mean, it's going to make all of life that much easier. And not to mention all the health benefits, and you can eat more, and which I'm a big fan of too. So I think, as guys, like we want to, be our healthiest self and our strongest self, and be the defender, the protector of our family. And so I think that all feeds into a shared goal, and if you have low testosterone, boy, it's hard to gather that motivation at the end of the long work day to go still do squats with your son. It's just much more challenging. And in fact, for me, it might have been impossible. I mean, I didn't once work out with my son before, and after being on testosterone, this is kind of a constant theme. I mean, it's several days a week we're out in the backyard lifting, and I just can't tell you how beneficial that time is. Just sharing those moments with my boys and hearing what's going on in their world, and no time to talk like that. So it's been really positive.
And Sonny, I'm so glad you brought that up because I think a lot of us, I want to share this, and then I want to make sure we tell the guys how you work with your clients. But there's, I agree, man. There is nothing cooler than working out with your kid. And I work out with my 19-year-old. I work out with my 17-year-old. I even work out with my 11-year-old now. We do the fun stuff. Like, I'm not making my freaking 11-year-old do cleans. Like, we do burpees and we do push-ups, and he's starting to do pull-ups now and stuff like that. Like little things, like we're just trying to make it fun. But like, I think so many adults out there, I'm not going to just pinpoint dads, it's moms too, but just adults, parents, right? We think that our fitness and parenting are two totally separate worlds, and we can never merge those together. And I will tell you, there is no, in my opinion, I love fitness. I love being a dad. When I can bring those two worlds into the same situation, the same time, oh my God, like it's magical. Like back in 2022, he's 17. This is the one who's stronger than me now. We did a bodybuilding show together, and it was his idea. And I tried to talk him out of it. He refused, but we did the show. But we trained together for 16 weeks, and it was the most magical 16 weeks of our relationship. Like the conversations, the camaraderie, the memories are just off the charts. But yeah,
I don't know if sorry to interrupt.
No, sorry.
No, I was just saying, I don't know if you have a home gym, Larry, but we do. We've had one for a long time. But I just love that because it encourages the kids to just walk in. You're working out, they see your routine every day, the same time every day. I think that's also very valuable for them to see you doing that and to living out, those positive attributes in your life and keeping your health first. And so I don't know how many different pictures throughout the years I have of my kids, just walking around in their diapers, doing fake squats, fake push-ups. I'll remember those times forever. And so I just, going back to how important it is for them to see you, staying healthy. So
I love that. Yeah, they got to see it, right? Because and here's the cool thing, your oldest is 10, Sonny's oldest is 15, my oldest is 19. And Sonny, you might be seeing this, Matt, you might be seeing it too, but my 17 and my 19-year-old, this probably has been like one of the coolest things I've seen come out of like fitness with family. Like this happens at least probably once a week. And my older kids, they have a gym membership where we go, they work out all the time, but like they'll come home and I'll see it and I'll be like, you okay? And it'd be like, yeah, it was a really tough day. I had a really bad day today. I was like, okay. I was like, well, is there anything you need? Do you need to talk? And they'll be like, I'm going to go to the gym and I'll be back. And then they come back and I'm like, how do you feel? I feel great. So it's like, I love the fact that they're not scrolling it away. They're not eating it away. They're not looking at stuff online they shouldn't, and they go to the gym. Right. I'm like, how cool is that this is how this is one of the ways that you deal with your stress. I love that. So, but I want to talk about, as we wrap up here, how do you guys work with clients? So a client, like for instance, if a guy hears, you guys on the show and they want more, what do they do?
No, for sure. Go to the website, gent.health. Just sign up. You can sign up for the blood work directly online, or if you're just not sure on which one, because we have different panels, depending on what you want to check for. And then obviously how much, you want to spend on it. And so you can sign up directly on the website for one of the 3 different blood panels that we offer, or you can just sign up on the contact us page, and one of our wellness coaches will reach out directly to you and you'll set up a quick 20-minute call with him. He'll talk to you about what you're going through, some of your goals, what you're trying to accomplish. And then from there, we always start with blood work. Again, that's our thing. And so we don't know what we're dealing with until we see that blood work. And so we'll get you signed up for the blood work. And then from there, you'll meet with one of our medical providers one-on-one. And that's via a Teams call just like this. We'll completely telehealth. And then you'll do a deep dive into all of your blood work panel. And then from there, they'll put together a personalized protocol just for you. Whether or not you need anything, if you need anything, you need some vitamin D, great, get on some vitamin D. And so she'll tell you what you need to get. Or, hey, man, you probably should look into some testosterone replacement therapy or whatever it is. They'll put you on a personalized protocol. And then we do follow-ups too. And so depending on what your protocol is, we'd like to follow up with you soon as 3 months, but then 6-month time frame, just because we just want to check in to see how you're doing. And then from there, that first year is critical to getting you balanced, and feeling your best. And then from there, we can do a little bit longer between panels. But personally, I recommend getting your blood work checked at least twice a year. Just that's me. I think it's that important. And, how you feel is so important, and we have the ability to help control that. So.
And not just with testosterone. I mean, with peptide therapies, with things to help you sleep, help you recover quicker. I mean, all these things, go toward your quality of life. And you might have some people listen to your podcast that are super, super fit but struggling with an injury or something. And there's some ways that you can help mitigate that and help recover quicker and get back. You probably remember, we all remember when we're 19 and you get an injury and 2 weeks later we're back. And at 40, you get an injury and it's not quite as quick. You don't bounce back quite as quick. So there's peptides and all kinds of things that we offer that can really help with any of your goals. I mean, whatever they are. So
yeah, that's something we haven't chatted about much, but peptides, big buzzword right now. But that's something that we're very into right now. Our medical team is doing a lot of different research on different peptides that work for different things. And so personally, I like to kind of be a guinea pig on that stuff sometimes. It's a benefit of founding a telehealth company. So I typically try to try all the different peptides that we roll out. So, but yeah, like Sonny said, we offer peptides, not just hormone optimization therapy as well.
Yeah, I did the BPC 157. I went through, unfortunately, a year and a half ago, a horrific knee injury, and had to do surgery. And my doctor, the orthopedic, he's like, well, we fixed your knee. You're good. He goes, you ain't gonna be running any marathons. He goes, you're probably gonna walk for cardio, and but you can ride a bike if you want, but you probably won't ever run again. And not to say that BPC 157 did this, but it definitely, I think, helped speed my recovery. And I ran my very first half marathon just 10 months after surgery. And I was like,
take that, doctor.
Well, yeah, I wasn't doing it I'll be honest, like the whole marathon thing, like that's the medal over my left shoulder right there.
Love it.
Yeah, I finished dead last in my I am not I finished. I'm not a runner. I finished absolutely dead last in the half marathon, which my wife thought was hysterical, but I've never been a runner. I don't like to run. I was just like, I just want to see if I can. He told me I can never run. I want to see if I could do this.
Show this. Yeah, BPC is great, man. I love it. I'll cycle on and off of that, but it's one of those things that, again, as you get older, you just, you don't just feel something in your shoulder or your knee, and then, but just, staying on a cycle of that, those, for me, I've seen a noticeable difference in those aches and pains. So.
Yeah, big time, man.
I do think. Okay, I was going to say, I do think that the way that our program is set up, it's so much more convenient than anything else. I mean, to be able to meet with a doctor, telehealth from my own home, I go get the blood work done, and then everything else after that I can do from my couch. I mean, it's just really convenient, and all the medication gets shipped to your house so that you don't have to go pick it up anywhere. It's just a very, very seamless process, and so. That's what we really wanted to build, is something that's seamless and easy and convenient for people. So it just doesn't take more time out of your life, because we're all busy and family and things going on and practice to get to, and just wanted to make this as seamless and simple as possible.
Yeah. And then also just the wellness coach aspect of it. So you have access to our wellness coaches pretty much 24/7. I was talking to one the other day, like someone texted me at 3 a.m. and woke up and responded. I was like, you don't have to respond at 3 a.m. So you're going to wait until the morning.
Yeah.
No, I just knew you were awake. So I just want to get to, I'm like, all right, man, but do you, but they're there to walk you, hold your hand the whole way. And so that's something too. It's just personal service. I've always been in the service industry in some capacity, I feel like, and so I've tried to build this company with people who just love people, love helping people, and then and so we try to show that in how we treat our patients.
That's awesome, man. Sounds like you guys have really, really done this right to take care of people and not just numbers. So, gents, we're going to have all the links in the show notes for you, not to worry. But Sonny and Matt, thank you guys so much for coming on today.
Thank you,
Today
man.
was
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you. This has been great.
Yeah,
Appreciate what you do, and with your with your alliance and your podcast and everything. It's been a big help for me, and that's how I found you. And I was like, so I appreciate you having us on.
I appreciate you guys sharing. So it's great to hear about health and numbers and blood work and all that. But what was really cool is you guys sharing your story, because that's what's going to hit in the heart of a man. Because yes, we understand numbers, but what do we relate to? We relate to like, oh crap, like I'm going through some of the same things that Sonny was going through. I'm going through some of the same things
Sure.
that Matt was going through. And I don't think we'll have too many guys to be like, I was going through what Larry's going through, where his doctor sent him to go get a $2,000 CT scan because he thought he was dying. But anyway, but guys, thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir, man. Appreciate it. You have a good one.